Yo, what is up everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're doing well on this fine Wednesday, the second video of today. I wanted to do a little bit of pre-buff video on Hawkeye. Now I can't remember if I've done this, especially going back to a series I used to do called What If. And here's the thing, like Hawkeye is actually a pretty good champion in its current situ, but in the next week it's going to see a buff. One of the big things that I'm a little bit kind of on the fence with is how the power control works, and that's one thing we're going to be looking at in this video. As I'm going to take the champion into Realm of Legends, into some Act 6 content, and then into some other content, which I think is so Labyrinth, Realm of Legends, and like Act 6. So there's a little bit of a smorgasbord of coverage just to kind of like test out certain things and against certain nodes as well. So that's what we're going to do. But there are going to be hopefully some improvements to the way that the champion takes down power. But how it says here, which is Hawkeye is able to deplete 75% of a bar of power from the opponent with every special one, and inflict suppression debuff with the perfect release. Now that's the thing that I kind of wonder when it comes to perfect release, how the champion plays out. It's going to be more, you're at the whimsy of whether or not an input from you clicking on your screen is going to be that perfect release. If it's not, it then becomes an issue, and that's something that I'm not sure if it's a great idea by Kabam, but I just kind of feel like it may have fallen into the wrong time. However though, that's not what this video is about. This video is about looking over the champion in its current state and kind of comparing what we're going to get when it comes to improvements and changes, with some great rotations around the slow debuff, which I am really happy about, especially when you're going up against certain champions that are Spider-Verse champions. You want to have something of a counter, and as well something that's going to be good to take on the likes of is it Mixmaster? I can't remember what I think it's called Mixmaster, isn't it? It's one that if you do the same attack in succession, then it's kind of like the enemy champion will evade. Mixmaster. I want to say it's Mixmaster. What? There's so many nodes. But yeah, like in its current state, the SP1 is pretty fire because it's got that deplete up to 40% of the target's max power. This means you can take like an SP3 and turn it down to like a SP1 in the bar of power that the enemy has, and that's very, very nice. But the thing is like you kind of look at this and go, oh, I really hope the kind of the new buff is going to be good and keeping in the same scheme of things. The same way that, look, the signature ability hasn't really got anything, and this one's all about just like bleeding exponentially, whereas the new one is the following. It's going to be landing a critical hit with an arrow shot will cause a personal bleed debuff triggered to become a critical bleed, multiplying the bleed potency by Hawkeye's critical damage multiplier. Additionally, each bleed debuff on the opponent reduces their physical resistance by 552.53. So it's kind of like extra like helpfulness to damage potential that the champion can have. So I'm about it. I like it. I like the way it works. But in any case, like we've gone over the champion. I want to go straight into talking about some footage and kind of like taking the champion into various different pieces of content, talking about whether or not I actually like it or don't like it. I've actually just realised that my DJ horn thing is on, so I need to turn that off. So whilst I went through transitions of screens, you might be going, why was that horn noise going? Bah, 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 bah? That's my bad. I clicked the wrong button on transitioning between one scene and then back to the other. So that's the probably reason for that. Anyway, let's roll some footage, shall we? So first of all, the fight takes to Labyrinth of Legends, and I thought, well, I'll just do a little bit of training here with Suicide Masteries. One of the biggest problems that the champion has is indeed like working with Suicide Masteries. If you're rotating around the SP1 and you got Suicide Masteries, then it creates a problem. Regardless of me being here, I kind of thought to myself, this isn't gonna work out. So whilst like recording, I decided to switch over to normal Masteries. But that's just something to kind of like mention there. I think the champion's buff has some interaction with the damage of poison effects. No, poison effects if you've got a certain synergy. So it sort of is going to be better on suicide friendly. In any case, like the champion's worth is good enough. Some synergies really help out. Hercules synergy, Hitmonkey synergy, and I think Taskmaster synergy are the ones that can really help out this champion. But you can really get a sense of like, okay, well, we need like lots of bleed effects, but mainly like damage potential, as the basic hits don't really do anything, or they're not kind of like good on the scalable damage. And you can really see that with the potency. It's only with those fury buffs given by one of the synergies that actually make the champion good. And that's something of a key thing that the champion needs to stand alone, rather than having to have like about 4 different synergies in order to make him good or interesting. And the same thing can really be said by the power control side of things. I mean, from like just a basic kind of standpoint of taking into content like Cavalier difficulty and its current state, it's fine. But even better if we've got that new updated synergy coming in, that will be a new updated kind of rotation for slow debuff. But you can definitely see that going to something like Winter Soldier, rotations wise, yeah, it's okay. But the thing is, Realm of Legends, you know, going up against Winter Soldier with anything is kind of doable. You know, and this is a 6-star rank 3 version that I'm testing out at the moment. And there's some good bleed potency. By the way, got a dropped input. That was fun there. Always seems to happen these days. I have some good times and some bad times, but I think like I'm not alone when it comes to like the stability and consistency when it comes to Marvel Contest of Champions. I've got to do some state of the game very soon where I'm going to record some of my my iPad and showcasing when I've kind of tapped down on the screen for a block and I'm just finding myself getting hit, and it's like, what is going on with this game sometimes? It definitely feels like since like June time, the quality of responses is way off. So I'm not going to be, you know, kind of like talking too much about that because we're going to get back to Hawkeye. But you can see Hemorrhage coming in with a great amount of bleed damage, and I hope that this is inbuilt into the normal running of the abilities of the champion. That's one of the key things. So now we're taking the champion into Act 6.1.6. This is where this champion's limitations are shown. Something that Hurt Locker, when you desire to have something of power control and rotate around a certain element, you're then like, right, well, I'm going to have to play this a little bit more cautiously. And we're definitely going to see that when it comes to taking this champion into something to do with all or nothing. In 6.1.6, there's various different paths with various different types of nodes. One of those being all or nothing. And that War Machine one is annoying, but it's more annoying when you're kind of thinking about options and thinking who's the best one to take against this. By the way, a Warlock is great against all or nothing path, but when it comes to like Hawkeye on this particular scenario of taking down power, which by the way this isn't, this is just a case of path clearing, and that's what Hawkeye I think is really for at the moment, is path clearing in its current state. When it comes up to its buff, I'm sure it's going to be a lot better, but it's just that power control, which we're going to see right now. Now, look, I've thrown in that SP1, but that's the power control element. If I want to suppress something like all or nothing, then I'm going to have to be punished by Hurt Locker's standards in that particular node. So I've got nowhere left to run. I can throw SP2s as now I've go back to rotating SP1, but I've already taken that massive damage from Hurt Locker. That's going to be quite disappointing if that's my only option. So that's really the thing. Like, you can't really rely on Hawkeye completely, and that's where that suppression debuff, which we're going to get with the new buff, may actually be more helpful to put in with that SP1. Especially with some of the multipliers and things that Kabam have put in with the buff, it may actually kind of give a little bit more and actually be more of a counter to this. So I probably will return to this and do a tester. This is where you go back to something like Act 5 and Hawkeye going up against something like Ant-Man in 5.4.6, where you've got a all or nothing kind of node. It's like this is an option for this because there's not so much restrictive nodes extra to it. So, you know, that's just the thing. I am very much hopeful for the state of the Hawkeye buff, especially from what it will do. Because, yeah, it doesn't seem like it's really there. It's just that thing, like how much we have to sacrifice for that SP1 being the way it is on this, which is, where is it? There. So 100% chance to 100% chance to inflict a power drain, removing 75% of a bar power. Perfect release though, 100% chance to inflict a suppression debuff, reducing the opponent's combat power rate by 50% for 8 seconds. I guess it's still there, isn't it? We're just kind of like being a little bit annoying, but there could be some other stuff here, like final hit, 100% chance to inflict the bleed debuff. And each bar of power spent beyond 1 grants 1 bleed. So I guess that's the thing, like it may not be there. I thought there was going to be something a little bit more, unless there's something with dialed in, which is press the block after the first hit input slow down time, releasing the block input precisely when Hawkeye releases the arrow. Yep, there's that. And then activating a perfect release bonus grants dialed in passive, increasing duration of all debuffs inflicted by attacks by 10%. So that's the thing, you'd have to be dialed in times 5, that's extra 50%. And what an extra 50% of that would be would be 4 seconds plus on that. So that's 12 so that's 12 seconds total, in theory, by the way, for that. Which isn't too bad, but it means you have to then play aggressive in order to rotate around to get to an SP2 to then kind of like with Hurt Locker get bound down to an SP1 in that 6.1.6 scenario. So there's lots of things to kind of consider with that. Definitely the buff is needed, and I will be looking to like test whether or not you can get a rotation to kind of make it doable to then kind of like suppress power and feel like you can take on that particular content with no issues. But yeah, that's been a little video looking over Hawkeye, and it was fun to look back at some of that other content. Hope you enjoyed this video. What are your thoughts on Hawkeye in his current state? Anything you're worried about, put it in the comment section down below, and anything you're excited about when it comes to the buff that's coming in. I appreciate you. Thank you very much for checking out some other content which is on screen right now, and I'll see you in the next video, whenever that will be, unless some news or other information or champion deep dives. And I'm looking to do something for Warlock and as well as something for who is it? Oh yeah, Spider-Man 2099 very soon, hopefully this week, but there's a lot of stuff to cover. Appreciate it in any case. Bye bye for now.